The 60-second morning ritual that rewires your brain for wealth. Every morning, while you're still half asleep, your mind makes a choice, a silent, invisible choice that determines whether you'll spend your day building dreams or burying them. Most people never realize this choice is happening. They wake up, check their phones, and immediately surrender control to the chaos of the world. Their first thoughts are reactions, to emails, to news, to problems waiting like wolves at the door. But what if I told you that the first 60 seconds after you open your eyes contain more creative power than the entire rest of your day combined? There's a frequency that exists in those early moments, a window when your subconscious mind is still open, still receptive, before the walls of logic and limitation slam shut. In that narrow passage of time, you have direct access to the control room of your reality. The wealthy know this. The powerful understand it. Every empire that has ever risen began not with action, but with a thought spoken into this sacred silence. They didn't stumble into success. They programmed it one morning at a time, with words that most would dismiss as too simple to matter. What you're about to discover isn't positive thinking. It's not wishful daydreaming or empty affirmation. This is the precise mechanism by which thought becomes thing, by which invisible desire crystallizes into visible form. For over 40 years, I studied men who built fortunes from nothing, who turned ideas into industries, who seemed to bend reality itself to their will. And they all shared one practice, one ritual performed in those first waking moments that separated them from everyone else who merely hoped for change. The words you speak to yourself in the morning don't just affect your mood. They program your nervous system, set your emotional frequency, and broadcast a signal into the invisible field of energy that surrounds you every moment of your existence. When Andrew Carnegie pulled me aside during our very first meeting, he looked me straight in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "Napoleon, show me a man's morning thoughts, and I'll show you his bank account 5 years from now." At the time, I didn't fully grasp what he meant. I thought success was about strategy, about connections, about being in the right place at the right time. I was wrong. The right place is inside your own mind. The right time is now, this morning, before the world gets its hands on you. And the right words, the exact sequence of syllables that can reprogram your subconscious to attract wealth instead of repel it, are about to be revealed to you. But I must warn you, once you understand this principle, once you see how simple the mechanism truly is, you'll realize how much time you've wasted waiting for permission from a universe that was waiting for your command. Which side of this truth are you watching from today? Are you on the side of those who speak their reality into existence, or those who let reality speak for them? Drop a comment below and tell me where you stand. And if you're ready to master the language of creation, subscribe to this channel right now. Because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about how success actually works. The subconscious mind is not your servant. It's a mirror. Every thought you've repeated, every emotion you felt consistently, every word you've spoken in moments of intensity, they've all been recorded with perfect accuracy in this invisible recorder that never stops, never sleeps, never forgets. Most people treat their minds like garbage dumps, allowing any random thought, any passing fear, any borrowed belief to take root and multiply. Then they wonder why their lives look like the mental equivalent of a landfill. They say they want abundance, but their inner dialogue is a constant loop of lack. They claim they desire success, but their self-talk is a courtroom where they're both the prosecutor and the convicted. Here's what the successful understand that the struggling don't. Your subconscious doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't respond to what you want, or what you hope for, or what you secretly wish would happen if the universe would just throw you a bone. It responds to one thing and one thing only: dominant instruction. Whatever message you send most frequently, with the most emotional intensity, becomes the blueprint from which your life is constructed. If you spend your mornings rehearsing worry, you're instructing your subconscious to find more things to worry about. If your first words are complaints about how tired you are, how hard life is, how unfair your circumstances have become, you're programming yourself for exhaustion, difficulty, and injustice. The wealthy don't wake up differently than you do. They don't possess some genetic advantage or secret vitamin that makes positive thinking easier. What they possess is discipline over the one thing most people surrender before breakfast: the narrative. They control the story their mind tells about who they are and what's coming. They've learned that the subconscious is literal, obedient, and incapable of sarcasm. Tell it you're broke enough times, and it will organize every decision, every opportunity, every relationship to prove you right. Tell it you're prosperous, that money flows to you easily, that you're a magnet for opportunity, and it will reorganize the exact same reality to prove that right instead. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell. This isn't metaphysical nonsense. This is neuroscience dressed in the language of philosophy. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a filter that determines what information gets through to your conscious awareness and what gets ignored. Right now, as you read these words, there are millions of pieces of sensory data competing for your attention. Sounds, sights, physical sensations, thoughts. You can't possibly process them all, so your brain filters. And what determines what gets through? Your dominant beliefs. If you believe you're unlucky, your brain will filter reality to show you evidence of bad luck, while completely ignoring signs of fortune. If you believe opportunities are scarce, you'll walk right past open doors because your filter won't even register them as possibilities. The morning is when this filter is most malleable, most open to reprogramming. Your brainwave state during the first moments of waking is different from the rest of your day. You're emerging from theta, the same frequency accessed during deep meditation, the same state where hypnotic suggestion takes root most easily. In those 60 seconds, before full waking consciousness kicks in and the logical mind starts building its walls, you have a direct line to the operating system. What you install in that moment runs in the background all day long. Most people waste this window. They reach for their phones, exposing their unguarded minds to other people's emergencies, other people's opinions, other people's realities. They check email and immediately download stress. They scroll social media and accidentally install comparison, envious inadequacy. Within 5 minutes of waking, they've surrendered control of their mental frequency to forces that have no interest in their success. By the time they stand up, they're already running someone else's program, and they'll run it all day without realizing why they feel anxious, scattered, behind. The masters do the opposite. Before they check a single message, before they speak to another human being, before they even leave the bed, they perform a ritual so simple that most people dismiss it as ineffective. They speak, not to anyone else, to themselves, to the only audience that actually has the power to change their circumstances, the subconscious mind that controls 95% of their behavior. They don't wait for inspiration to strike. They don't hope they'll feel motivated. They speak specific words in a specific sequence with a specific emotional tone, and they do it before the world has a chance to tell them who they should be today. These aren't random affirmations pulled from a feel-good calendar. These are commands, precise instructions delivered to the part of the mind that actually runs the show. When you say, "I am so happy and grateful that money flows to me easily," you're not trying to convince the universe. You're not performing some magical spell. You're installing a new filter in your reticular activating system. You're telling your subconscious, "This is what we're looking for today. This is the pattern to recognize. Show me opportunities that match this frequency." And because the subconscious is obedient, literal and tireless, it goes to work immediately, scanning your environment for evidence that supports this new instruction. But here's where most people fail. They say it once, feel silly, notice that nothing changed in the next 5 minutes, and quit. They don't understand that reprogramming the subconscious isn't like flipping a light switch. It's like turning an ocean liner. The momentum of your old beliefs, your old patterns, your old identity, they don't disappear after one affirmation. They've been reinforced thousands of times through repetition. If you've spent 20 years thinking of yourself as someone who struggles with money, that neural pathway is a superhighway. Your new belief is a dirt road. To make it the dominant path, you need repetition. Consistent, emotionally charged, unwavering repetition. The 60-second morning ritual isn't a one-time event. It's a daily rewiring session. Every morning, you're choosing which neural pathway to strengthen. Every morning, you're voting for which version of yourself gets to make decisions today. The version that believes in lack, or the version that expects abundance. The version that sees obstacles, or the version that sees opportunities. Your subconscious doesn't care which one wins. It will faithfully execute whichever program receives the most repetition and emotional intensity. This is why the wealthy seem to have better luck. It's not luck. It's filter calibration. They've programmed their minds to recognize and respond to opportunity at a frequency most people's filters are set to ignore. When two people walk into the same room, one might see a networking event full of strangers, while the other sees 5 potential business partners, 3 investment opportunities, and a mentor they've been searching for. Same room, different filters. The difference isn't in the room. It's in the morning ritual that programmed what they're capable of seeing. So the question isn't whether this works. The question is, what are you currently programming? Because whether you're aware of it or not, you're performing this ritual every morning. You're installing instructions, setting filters, choosing which version of yourself gets activated. The only question is whether you're doing it consciously with intention and precision, or whether you're doing it by default, allowing whatever random thought or external stimulus happens to hit you first to determine your frequency for the day. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want isn't more strategy, more hustle, more connections, or more time, but simply 60 seconds of intentional reprogramming every morning? What if the wealthy aren't hiding some complicated secret, but rather executing a simple practice so consistently that it becomes their identity? And what if the reason you haven't heard this before, or dismissed it when you did, is precisely because it sounds too simple to be the answer? The words you speak in the morning don't float away into nothing. They land somewhere. They sink into the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, where they either grow into abundance or strangle your potential before you've even had breakfast. The difference between a thought that dies and a thought that multiplies isn't the thought itself, it's the emotion attached to it. This is the missing piece that turns empty affirmations into actual transformation. You can say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times with the enthusiasm of reading a phone book, and your subconscious will ignore it completely. But say it once, just once, with genuine feeling, with the emotion of already having it, and something shifts. The subconscious doesn't respond to words, it responds to the frequency those words carry. Think of emotion as the electrical current that powers your mental commands. The words are the wire, but without current, nothing flows. This is why positive thinking without emotional conviction feels hollow, because it is. You're sending dead signals to a system that only responds to live ones. When you speak your morning affirmation with real emotion, you're not just saying words. You're transmitting a frequency that your nervous system recognizes as truth. Your body doesn't know the difference between something that's happened and something you're vividly imagining with emotional intensity. Feel gratitude for money you don't yet have, and your body responds as if the money is already in your account. Your posture changes, your breathing steadens, your facial muscles relax, and most importantly, your reticular activating system recalibrates to match the frequency of abundance rather than scarcity. The masters understood this principle instinctively. When Carnegie spoke about his business ventures, even in their earliest stages when they existed only as ideas, he described them with the emotion of completed success. His associates said you couldn't tell whether he was describing a thriving enterprise or a plan still on paper. His conviction was identical. That wasn't confidence. That was emotional programming. He was training his subconscious to recognize his visions as reality, and his subconscious, being the obedient servant it is, began reorganizing his behaviors, decisions, and perceptions to align with that reality. Most people do the opposite. They speak about their goals with hope, which is just fear wearing a smile. Hope means maybe. Hope means I want this, but I don't really believe it's coming. The subconscious hears that uncertainty and mirrors it back as inconsistent results. One day you feel motivated, the next you don't. One week opportunities appear, the next they dry up. Your reality is fluctuating because your emotional frequency is fluctuating. The wealthy maintain emotional consistency. They feel the gratitude of success before success arrives because they understand that gratitude isn't a response to receiving. It's the signal that activates receiving. This is why the morning is sacred. In those first 60 seconds, before life circumstances have triggered your habitual emotional responses, you get to choose your frequency. You get to decide whether today you'll broadcast scarcity or abundance, fear or faith, lack or prosperity. The choice isn't made with logic, it's made with feeling. When you speak your affirmation I am so happy and grateful that money flows to me effortlessly, the words matter far less than the emotion you inject into them. Say it with genuine joy, with the feeling of relief, with the sensation of already having solved your financial struggles, and your subconscious receives a clear instruction. It begins searching for ways to make that feeling permanent, to validate that frequency in your external reality, but inject the same words with doubt, with the underlying feeling of, I hope this works, or I'll believe it when I see it, and you've just sent a contradictory signal. The subconscious doesn't know what to do with mixed frequencies, so it defaults to your historical pattern, which for most people is fear-based. This is why people try affirmations for a week and quit. They're saying prosperity words while feeling poverty emotions. The words say yes, but the frequency says no, and frequency always wins. Here's the practice that changes everything. Before you speak your morning affirmation, spend 30 seconds generating the emotion first. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, then imagine, not the having of what you want, but how you'll feel when you have it. If it's money, don't visualize the number in your bank account. That's too abstract. Instead, feel the relief, feel the freedom, feel the peace of knowing your bills are handled, your future is secure, your choices are yours. Let that feeling build in your chest until it's almost overwhelming. Then, from that emotional state, speak your affirmation. Now the words aren't empty, they're charged, they carry voltage, and that voltage is what the subconscious responds to. This is the secret behind every successful person's apparent, natural confidence. It's not natural, it's cultivated. They've trained themselves to feel successful before the evidence appears. They've practiced the emotion of abundance so many times that it's become their default frequency. When you meet them, you sense something different. They're not anxious. They're not hustling from a place of desperation. They move with calm certainty because their emotional frequency isn't dependent on external circumstances. They've anchored it internally through daily practice. The morning ritual creates this anchor. 60 seconds of emotionally charged affirmation doesn't just set your intention for the day, it recalibrates your emotional set point. Think of it like tuning a radio. All day long, you'll encounter situations that try to pull you off frequency. A bill you can't pay, a client who disappears, an unexpected expense. These are frequency hijackers. They want to drag you back down to fear, back to scarcity, back to the emotional state that's been keeping you stuck. But if you've anchored yourself in abundance every morning, if you've practiced feeling grateful and prosperous before anything happened to justify it, you'll notice something remarkable. Those hijackers lose their power. The bill still arrives, but it doesn't trigger panic. The client disappears, but you don't spiral into scarcity thinking. You stay on frequency because you've trained yourself to return to it automatically. This is emotional resilience, and it's the invisible advantage that creates visible success. Two people can have the same setback, but one returns to fear while the other returns to faith. The difference isn't circumstances, it's which emotional frequency they've practiced returning to. The morning ritual makes faith your default instead of fear. It makes abundance your baseline instead of scarcity. And from that baseline, completely different decisions emerge. You say yes to opportunities the fearful would run from. You stay patient when the anxious would quit. You invest when the desperate would hoard. Not because you're braver, but because your emotional frequency is calibrated differently. Most people think they need evidence before they can feel successful. They're waiting for the money, the relationship, the recognition, then they'll feel grateful. But that's backwards. The feeling comes first. The evidence follows. Your subconscious creates what you feel consistently, not what you want occasionally. This is why people who win the lottery often end up broke again. They received the money, but they didn't change their emotional frequency. Internally, they still felt like poor people who got lucky. So their subconscious restored them to alignment with that feeling. The money disappeared because the frequency didn't support keeping it. The opposite is also true. People who build wealth from nothing and then lose it often rebuild it faster the second time. Why? Because they didn't lose their frequency. They still feel like wealthy people, even when the bank account is empty. Their subconscious recognizes that as misalignment and immediately begins organizing circumstances to restore them to abundance. Same person, same skills, but the frequency remained intact, so the results returned. This is what you're building in those 60 seconds every morning. Not wishful thinking, not fake positivity. You're building emotional consistency. You're teaching your nervous system what frequency to return to when life knocks you off balance. And life will knock you off balance. The question isn't whether obstacles will come. The question is, what emotional frequency do you default to when they arrive? That default setting is programmed in the morning, 60 seconds at a time, until it becomes automatic. So tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, before you let the world tell you what kind of day you're going to have, you're going to choose. You're going to close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and feel the emotion of already having what you want. Then you're going to speak your affirmation with that emotion running through every word. And you're going to do it again the next morning, and the next. Not until you see results, until the emotion becomes automatic, until gratitude is your reflex, until abundance is your identity. That's when everything changes. Not because the universe suddenly decides to favor you, but because you've finally aligned your emotional frequency with the reality you've been trying to create. You're no longer sending mixed signals. You're broadcasting one clear frequency, consistently, powerfully, undeniably. And reality, which is always listening, has no choice but to respond in kind. Your identity is not who you think you are. It's who you consistently feel yourself to be. And that feeling, that invisible sense of self that runs beneath your conscious thoughts, is broadcasting a signal every moment of every day, a signal that attracts circumstances, people, and opportunities that match its frequency. Most people have never consciously chosen their identity. They've inherited it from parents who said money doesn't grow on trees, from teachers who warned them to be realistic, from a culture that celebrates struggle and suspects ease. Layer by layer, year by year, they've constructed an identity built on limitation. And then they wonder why their life feels limited. They're trying to succeed while broadcasting the frequency of someone who doesn't. Here's what nobody tells you. Success isn't about changing what you do. It's about changing who you are. And who you are isn't some fixed, unchangeable essence. It's a habit. A pattern of thoughts and feelings you've repeated so many times that it feels permanent. But it's not. Identity is flexible, plastic, programmable. And the morning is when you get to reprogram it. In those 60 seconds, before the weight of your history settles on your shoulders, you get to decide, who am I today? Am I the person who struggles with money, or the person who attracts it effortlessly? Am I the person who waits for permission, or the person who takes initiative? Am I the person who reacts to life, or the person who creates it? The wealthy have a secret that sounds almost offensive in its simplicity. They decided to be wealthy before they became wealthy. Not hoped, not wished, decided. And then they aligned every thought, every emotion, every action with that decision until the decision became their identity. When Carnegie was still working for pennies, he walked and talked like a millionaire. People thought he was delusional. He wasn't delusional. He was practicing. He understood that the external world is a delayed reflection of the internal world. If he waited until the money arrived to feel like a wealthy man, he'd wait forever. But if he could feel like a wealthy man first, the money would have no choice but to appear. That's not positive thinking. That's identity programming. Your morning affirmation isn't about convincing the universe to give you what you want. It's about convincing your subconscious that you already are the person who has it. This is the distinction that separates transformation from frustration. When you say, "I am wealthy," you're not describing your bank account. You're declaring your identity. You're telling your subconscious, "This is who I am now." Update all behaviors, decisions, and perceptions accordingly. And the subconscious, which cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined identity and an actual one, begins the update immediately. It starts noticing opportunities you walked past yesterday. It gives you courage to have conversations you avoided last week. It makes you comfortable in rooms that used to intimidate you. Not because anything external changed, but because your identity changed. And identity determines what you're capable of seeing and doing. Most people try to build success on top of an identity that doesn't support it. They want the money, but internally, they still identify as someone who's not good with money. They want the relationship, but they identify as someone who's always single. They want the business, but they identify as an employee. Then they work themselves to exhaustion, trying to overcome an identity that's working against them every step of the way. It's like driving with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. You can push the gas pedal harder, hustle more hours, learn more strategies, but until you take your foot off the brake, until you change the identity, you're fighting yourself. The morning ritual removes the brake. 60 seconds of identity reprogramming, done consistently, rewrites the subconscious script. You stop identifying with lack and start identifying with abundance. You stop identifying as a seeker and start identifying as a finder. You stop identifying as someone trying to become successful and start identifying as someone who is successful, currently building evidence of that success. This shift is subtle, but seismic. When you operate from the identity of already being the person you want to become, your behavior changes automatically. You don't have to force yourself to act confident. Confidence emerges naturally from an identity that sees itself as capable. You don't have to fake abundance. Abundance becomes your normal because your identity says, "This is who I am." Watch what happens when someone truly changes their identity. They stop asking for permission. They stop second-guessing their decisions. They stop tolerating circumstances that contradict who they know themselves to be. A person who identifies as wealthy doesn't stay in a job that pays poverty wages, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. It simply doesn't match their frequency. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't eat junk food every day, not because they're disciplined, but because it's inconsistent with their identity. When your actions align with your identity, success stops being a battle and starts being inevitable. But here's the trap. Your current identity will resist the change. It's comfortable, familiar. It's kept you safe, even if it's kept you small. When you start declaring a new identity every morning, your old identity will whisper doubts. Who do you think you are? You're not wealthy. You're in debt. Stop pretending. This is the critical moment. Most people hear that voice and quit. They think it's truth telling them to stop lying to themselves. It's not truth, it's habit. It's the old identity recognizing that it's being replaced and fighting to survive. The only way past this resistance is repetition. You have to repeat your new identity with more frequency and more emotion than the old identity whispers its doubts. Eventually, the new identity becomes louder. Then it becomes normal. Then it becomes automatic. Then it becomes you. This is why 60 seconds every morning isn't negotiable. You're not just saying words, you're installing a new operating system. And operating systems don't install with one click. They require time, repetition, and emotional commitment. Each morning, you're choosing which version of yourself gets activated today. The version that believes in limitation or the version that knows its power. The version that waits for circumstances to change, or the version that changes circumstances through aligned action. Your identity determines which version shows up, and your morning ritual determines your identity. Edison identified as an inventor before he'd invented anything significant. Ford identified as a manufacturer before he'd manufactured a single car. Rockefeller identified as a wealthy man when he was a bookkeeper, making barely enough to survive. They weren't lying, they were programming. They understood that identity isn't determined by current circumstances, it's determined by consistent declaration. So they declared, every day, every morning, in the silence before the world's noise could convince them otherwise, and slowly, their external reality began to match their internal declaration. Not because they got lucky, but because they aligned identity with intention until there was no gap between who they were and what they attracted. You have the same power, the same 60 seconds, the same choice. Tomorrow morning, you can wake up and default to your historical identity, the one that's kept you exactly where you are. Or you can wake up and declare a new one, not hope for it, not wish for it. Declare it. I am someone who attracts money easily. I am someone opportunities seek out. I am someone who creates value and receives abundance in return. Say it with emotion, say it with conviction, say it like you're reminding yourself of a truth you temporarily forgot, not trying to create something that doesn't exist. Because here's the ultimate secret. The identity you want already exists within you. It's not something you have to build from scratch. It's something you have to uncover. You've just buried it under years of contradictory programming. The morning ritual is excavation work. Each affirmation removes another layer of false identity until the true one emerges. And when it finally does, when you finally feel in your bones that you are the person you've been declaring yourself to be, you'll look around and notice that your external world has been quietly rearranging itself to match. The opportunities were always there. The resources were always available. You just couldn't see them because your identity's frequency wasn't tuned to recognize them. Change the identity, and everything changes. Not someday. Not when circumstances improve. Now, this morning, 60 seconds of identity reprogramming, spoken with emotion, repeated with consistency, anchored with gratitude. That's the formula. That's the code. That's how you stop being someone who wants success and start being someone who embodies it. And embodiment, not effort, is what creates lasting transformation. Who will you be tomorrow morning? The person you've always been, or the person you're choosing to become? The answer will determine everything that follows. Gratitude is not what you think it is. Most people treat it like a courtesy, a polite thank you, directed at a universe they hope is listening. But gratitude, when understood correctly, is the most powerful creative force you have access to. It's not a response to receiving, it's the cause of receiving. When you feel grateful for something before it arrives, you collapse the gap between desire and manifestation. You're no longer hoping, wishing, or waiting. You're claiming. You're announcing to your subconscious, to your nervous system, and to the invisible field of energy that responds to frequency. This is mine. It's already done. And in that announcement, creation begins. Most people have gratitude backwards. They think the sequence is receive first, then feel grateful. But that's reactionary gratitude, and it has no creative power. It's like thanking someone for a gift after they've handed it to you. Pleasant, but passive. The gratitude that creates is proactive. It's the kind of gratitude you feel before the evidence appears. It's thanking the universe while your bank account is still empty. It's feeling relief about the solution before the problem is solved. It's experiencing peace about the outcome before the outcome is visible. This isn't delusion, this is advanced faith. And your subconscious mind, which cannot tell the difference between a vivid imagination and a concrete reality, responds to this frequency as if the desired circumstance already exists. The morning is when this principle becomes most practical. In those 60 seconds, you're not just stating what you want, you're feeling grateful for already having it. I am so happy and grateful that I'm earning $10,000 a month. Not I will be, not I hope to be. I am. Present tense, already accomplished. And the emotion attached to those words isn't hope, it's relief. It's joy. It's the feeling of burden lifted, of freedom restored, of life working in your favor. That feeling is the signal. That's what your subconscious responds to. When you can generate authentic gratitude for an outcome that hasn't manifested yet, you've just given your subconscious the clearest instruction it's ever received. Find a way to make this feeling permanent. This is where most people fail. They can say the words, but they can't generate the feeling. They speak their affirmation with a tone of longing, which is just another word for lack. Longing means I don't have this and I want it. The subconscious hears that frequency and mirrors it back. More experiences of not having, more reasons to want. But gratitude means I have this and I appreciate it. Completely different frequency, completely different result. One broadcasts lack, the other broadcasts abundance. One attracts more wanting, the other attracts more having. So how do you generate real gratitude for something you don't yet have? You practice. Every morning for 60 seconds, you close your eyes and you imagine not the thing itself, but the feeling of having it. If it's money, don't picture a number on a screen. That's too abstract. Instead, imagine paying a bill without anxiety. Imagine looking at a price tag and not calculating whether you can afford it. Imagine the exhale of relief when you realize you're finally, truly okay financially. Let that feeling build in your body, the loosening in your shoulders, the steadying of your breath, the lightness in your chest. Then, from that place of embodied relief, you speak your affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm financially free. Now you're not lying. You're not pretending. You're feeling the future in the present, and your nervous system is responding as though it's real. This is the mechanism by which Carnegie built his empire. He didn't wait until he was wealthy to feel grateful for wealth. He practiced feeling grateful when he was poor. Every morning, he'd spend time in silence, generating the emotion of abundance, letting it fill his body until it felt more real than his current circumstances. His associates thought he was mad. How can you be grateful for money you don't have? But Carnegie understood what they didn't. The feeling precedes the form. If you can genuinely feel it, you can attract it. If you can't feel it, you never will. Not because the universe is withholding it, but because your frequency isn't tuned to recognize it when it appears. Gratitude does something else critical. It eliminates resistance. Resistance is what happens when you want something but don't believe you can have it. It's the internal friction between desire and doubt. Most people live in this friction constantly. They want success but believe it's for other people. They want love but believe they're unworthy of it. They want freedom but believe they're trapped. That contradiction creates resistance, and resistance blocks flow. But gratitude dissolves resistance instantly. Why? Because you can't feel grateful and doubtful at the same time. They're incompatible frequencies. When you genuinely feel grateful for something, even something you don't yet have, doubt disappears. Not because you've argued with it or overcome it through willpower, but because gratitude has filled the space where doubt used to live. This is why the morning affirmation must be soaked in gratitude. I'm so happy and grateful isn't filler, it's the engine. Those words activate the emotional frequency that removes resistance and opens the channel for manifestation. Without them, you're just stating facts your subconscious doesn't believe. With them, you're creating a felt experience your subconscious accepts as real. And whatever the subconscious accepts as real, it will work tirelessly to maintain and expand. Here's what happens when you practice gratitude correctly every morning. Your baseline emotional state shifts. Instead of waking up neutral or worse, anxious, you wake up already tuned to the frequency of abundance. That sets the tone for every decision you make that day. When an opportunity appears, you recognize it instead of doubting it. When a challenge arises, you see it as temporary instead of terminal. When someone offers help, you accept it instead of deflecting it out of unworthiness. Your entire filter system has been recalibrated by 60 seconds of gratitude, and now the same reality that looked limiting yesterday looks full of possibility today. Most people won't do this because it feels fake at first. They'll say, I'm so grateful for my financial freedom, while their mind screams, no, you're not, you're broke. And they'll quit, thinking the practice doesn't work. They don't realize they're in the awkward middle phase, the space between old identity and new identity, where nothing feels natural yet. This is where discipline matters more than motivation. You don't practice gratitude because it feels good in the beginning. You practice it because it rewires you. You repeat it until the new frequency becomes familiar, then comfortable, then automatic. And only then, once it's automatic, do the results start appearing in your external world. Lincoln practiced gratitude in the darkest days of the Civil War. When his generals failed him, when battles were lost, when the nation seemed beyond saving, he would retreat to silence and generate gratitude for the unity he couldn't yet see. His cabinet thought he was delusional. But Lincoln knew something they didn't. If he could hold the frequency of unity, even when surrounded by division, he would eventually attract the circumstances that matched that frequency. And he did, not through strategy alone, but through the invisible power of sustained emotional alignment. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your frequency, and nothing raises your frequency faster or more powerfully than authentic gratitude. So tomorrow morning, don't just say you're grateful, feel it deeply. Let that energy of gratitude flow through you and radiate out into the universe. Remember, when you align with this frequency, life starts to shift in amazing ways. If you enjoyed this message, drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the like button. Let's spread this positive energy together.